Are you guys ready to talk about games?
Of course.
Talk
Perhaps.
about the state of the industry and
Xbox.
Well, welcome to GameYap, the podcast where we yap about games with the Kirby Party, Cerventes, and Betrigan. That's me. That's Cerventes in the middle.
I
Well,
was the
I guess
second
I
one.
guess that would be on the right when it's edited, and Kirby's in the middle. Kirby's on top.
Kirby was the first one. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Aw.
Anyways, this is kind of last week we talked about the Xbox rumored layoffs. We finally know what's going on with them, so I guess this is really an Xbox featured episode. There's a lot to go over.
It was a very Xbox heavy week. We found out all the rumors were true. There were some glimmers of hope in there, which I mean, hey, I'm willing to devil's advocate for a few points, but there's a lot to go
there's
over because
there's two
oh
sides to
man,
all of it. And I it's gonna be heavy to talk about for sure. So in 2024, Xbox laid off 1,900 people, which was the most in the industry in history. Now the rumors were that they were going to lay off even more than that. We did find out the number. It is 3,200 people are being laid off. 1,600 now, 1,600 later, but 3,200 total. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. That is Xbox. I think in general, I think they are over the 10,000. Obviously, I think they're like maybe 15. I'd have to look that up for sure. But that's still what,
and something
20%
like
of their staff.
Microsoft is doing a massive layoff just across the board, and 20% of the layoffs are within Xbox. So
Mhm.
that's crazy. That just says a lot about the state of Microsoft in general, but even just the game industry, just very unfortunate.
Yeah, layoffs are always awful, you know. It sets everything kind of back, especially, we've talked about it multiple times, games getting more expensive, longer dev cycles, and obviously laying off is just gonna make that even worse. But the studios that did get hit, well, kind of. We had Double Fine, Undead Labs, Ninja Theory, and Compulsion Games. I believe they're all going. Well, Ninja Theory and Compulsion they're going to new owners, correct?
Double
Yes.
Fine.
As yet unspecified new ownership.
Yes. Um, and then Double Fine and Undead Labs are going solo. Or no, is it Undead Labs are going under new
So
funding?
the way I read it was Double Fine and Compulsion Games
They're
are returning to being completely independent.
Yes.
And not only are they going back to being independent, but they are also retaining all of their IPs.
Hmm.
Which means that's actually really huge, because typically when you see something like this, Microsoft would have been the ones to retain all of those IPs, but we're seeing the rights being handed back to the studios, and that's kind of a little bit of a glimmer of hope thing, where is Xbox working with these people in their best interests
Are
in
we
these dark
healing?
times? It's not
Um,
even that way. I mean, if we were healing, we wouldn't be in this scenario to begin with.
yeah.
But I think it's a sign of goodwill, and I think this is them trying to retain any little bit of goodwill that they possibly can.
We kind of saw it with Toys for Bob too when they went, they were able to buy their own studio back and survive, and now they're doing Spyro. So definitely best case scenario for these devs. My main question is with Double Fine and Compulsion. Um, Obviously, they are going independent. They have their studio. They're most likely going to have layoffs because that's how this kind of works. Going independent, obviously, they're all, they're responsible for their own stuff now. They're not going to be able to possibly have that money that Xbox, Microsoft was handing them. So they may have layoffs on their end. My question is, are they able to survive? Double Fine for a while there was kickstarting their games. Like they have Tim Schafer, obviously he's known and stuff, but they were still going to Kickstarter to get their games done, and then Xbox bought them, and obviously Xbox was able to kind of fund all that. Do they go back to that? Do they go back to Kickstarter? Do they even like survive? Like, what does that look like now? Like, yeah, they're free, but where does that put them?
As far as Kickstarters go, a lot of the times these Kickstarter campaigns aren't necessarily the sole funding for these games, but they're more or less a way to try to bait in investors. So the actual, publishing houses that would be giving the rest of the money that actually truly funds the development of whatever project. And that's true for there's a few projects out there that are completely Kickstarter funded, but for the most part, when you see these Kickstarter projects going up, it is more or less to show a sign of interest for an actual proper investor. That we likely could see them going back to trying to get that kind of funding, or maybe we'll see them just kind of float until a bigger house comes and picks them back up.
Mhm.
If they were open to getting picked up once, maybe it'll be open to being picked up again, or maybe this whole experience will get them turned off from being picked up
Big
again.
publisher, yeah. Yeah, basically being able to do kind of what they kind of Double Fine was really good about kind of still doing what they wanted. Compulsion games never really had that big hit, but like every game they've kind of done, it's kind of had a splash. Actually, I have We Happy Few, like one of the statues like on my shelf back there. So I've been following them for quite a while. They had that game with like where you played with the shadows. That was like one of their first like indie games. And then they kind of jumped like right to We Happy Few, and then they had South of by Midnight.
South of Midnight.
Yeah,
South of
yeah,
Midnight. That came out at the worst possible time
it
because that
did.
came out alongside Expedition 33, and that
Hmm.
That game is like the most fantastic game. I think one of the most fantastic games I've ever played, South of Midnight. I remember seeing the trailer at like the final G3 or whatever, and or whenever it was revealed originally, and I waited on it for like 2 years. And then
Hmm.
when I played it, I'm actually in the middle of replaying it right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I played it and I just like emotionally connected to it so much. Sorry to kind of like
No,
divert,
no,
but
no,
I just
no,
absolutely.
to say like
it
I love
is.
that game, and every time I mention it, nobody's heard of it, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's fantastic."
I did play
That's
through that whole thing. It's extremely competent. There's parts of it where you play through the combat segments. It's kind of like a Devil May Cry style game
mhm.
where you will go through a level. There's stuff hidden that you can optionally go find, and you do your combat segments. And sometimes it feels like, hey, I feel like we could have done another combat segment, or I feel like that combat segment we could have had a little bit more to it. So it leaves you kind of wanting more because it is very competent within itself. But I brought up the point of Expedition 33 because they came out relatively around the same time, and the differences of scope for the technologies used is
Mhm.
absolutely mind-blowing, where Compulsion Games, who were under Xbox at the time, and this is gonna be kind of like bashing on the tech parts a little bit, because South of Midnight was using a combination of Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5, and had a file size roughly double that of Expedition 33, which was made by a brand new studio. Granted, they're ex devs from much larger studios, but their game, which was solely using Unreal Engine 5, just from performance to file size and optimization, just did run a lot smoother from the tech perspective. It's absolutely crazy to see that a studio that was directly under Microsoft and had all that funding just made, from the technical aspect, an inferior product.
Kind of like
And
dropped the ball like that.
yeah, and that's why I'm only saying from a technical aspect, because I do argue, and it's still a good game, and more people should have given it a shot. But unfortunately, because black woman protagonist, you're going to have a lot of people hating on it. And I did get to work uh, with Microsoft as a sponsor type of thing for it. I had to put up some videos for it, and the videos got a lot of unnecessary hate because, again, black woman protagonist,
Mhm.
which I don't know, man. If that's where you draw the line, you're missing out on an extremely competent game. So
Yeah, if the game's good, who cares,
I
you
don't,
know?
yeah, but some people draw
Yeah,
that line, and
I get it, I get it.
it's dumb. So more eyes should have been put on it, and maybe if more eyes got put on it, then maybe there would be a different fate for Compulsion.
Yeah. Yeah, Compulsion does really good. Kirby, if you're liking South of Midnight, I highly recommend We Happy Few. It is crazy game, very good. But yeah, unfortunately, they've kind of never had a mainstream hit. Like they have these really like unique games, and they just don't go the distance. But yeah, so Double Fine, Compulsion, they're going independent. They get their IPs, they get to kind of do what they want now. Could be good. I think Compulsion will probably be in a fine spot. Like I said, Double Fine was kind of relying on Kickstarter before. Obviously, not all their funding, but we'll see kind of where they end up in a couple of years. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs are going to be under a new owner. Do we have any predictions on who that owner would be?
I
Oh,
mean,
I have no
sky's the limit.
predictions whatsoever.
Yeah, it's kind of
So
hard to
I
they're
guess,
don't
they're
really
right?
know the
gonna
names like that.
they're gonna be continuing to work on, their previously announced projects. So
Mhm.
supposedly with Ninja Theory being put under potential new ownership, they are receiving the funding to continue working on Senua, and then
Yeah.
Undead Games getting to work on, was it State of Decay 3? They're gonna get
Yes.
to
Yep. Yep.
continue getting to work on that. So it's cool to see that the stuff that they were working on it's not flatlining. We are gonna potentially see these products still
Yeah.
being
No.
delivered.
Absolutely. Stated K3. It looks like it's pretty close to finishing. I wouldn't be surprised. Whoever picked them up, they're probably like, yeah, this is gonna be a quick turnaround. Very easy. Ninja Theory, we saw the trailer for Senua, and they said that they want it to be like a full length game. Like they want it to be way bigger than Hellblade 1 and 2. So I don't think we see that for several years. And
At
Hellblade
least
1.
a year. At
um,
least a
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hellblade 1 was obviously a big commercial success, won a lot of rewards, got all the stuff. 2 kind of didn't really make that splash. So I'm curious what publisher is picking them up, and do they actually believe in Sonoa, to go further again, like the first Hellblade, or is this going to be a disaster for them?
Like you said, Hellblade 2 didn't make a splash, and how much of that is directly because of Microsoft just trying to turn around a product?
Yeah.
Because Hellblade 1 was that perfect double A experience,
Hmm.
exactly what it sought out to be, and over delivered on that double A experience.
Hmm.
Whereas Hellblade 2 was the AAA version of that. We saw full AAA pricing, AAA engine, everything, and name one person talking about it, because
Yeah.
I haven't found that person.
I think that's kind of
Whereas
where. Oh,
people just wouldn't shut up about Hellblade 1.
yeah, I think that's kind of where Xbox in general is kind of at fault. Like if you go back to like any of their games released in like the last decade really, it doesn't have that really big splash like Halo, even like Halo Infinite, like people talked about it for like a couple days and it was gone. You didn't hear anything about it like mainstream wise. I think that's kind of where Xbox suffers. Obviously they're trying to turn that around with all these changes, but at one point, at like what point do you kind of say, hey, it's like marketing, like we're not marketing this correctly, or we're not, because like these games should be bigger. They're not bad games. They're good games. Why are they not having the splash they should?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it comes down to marketing and just impact. And if the
Subscriptions
impact
as
just isn't
well.
there,
People aren't buying games, they're subscribing to the services.
That's a big
So if
problem
it's
too.
not free on Game Pass, a lot of people just won't play it.
Yeah, I remember Halo Infinite. They said sold way under expectations, and it's like, well, you had it on Game Pass, and like you can't make a subscription service and expect so many people to subscribe to the point where they're what are they like? They want 10? No, they want like 100 million. Is that what it is? I think 100 million subscribers on Game Pass. They have 30 at the moment. And how are you going to expect to have 100 million subscribers, a month, and then also expect your game to sell like 10 million copies or whatever ridiculous amount they have? Like people are using Game Pass because they aren't buying these games. They're seeing it like, hey, I'm paying $30 a month or, whatever. I'm paying half the price of a game and I get to play it day one. The logic isn't there. I don't understand where they expect this to. They're punishing these studios basically because of Game Pass doing, what it is and like literally what they want it to do.
yeah, I
So,
mean, look at Tango GameWorks. It was the same
hmm.
fate. They had a very extremely good product. Even
Hmm.
Phil Spencer, or whatever exec was, I mean, it might not have been Phil Spencer, but someone over there, it might have been like a CFO or something. I genuinely don't remember, but was saying right after Tango GameWorks was tossed out that they needed a new indie splash hit that was gonna just do gangbusters, and they had that in Hi-Fi Rush.
Hmm.
They were just describing Hi-Fi Rush, but that, because it was on Game Pass, it just didn't do what they projected. And how do you bring morale back from that now, especially with all this? So with consumers now also seeing this and turning on Microsoft, how do you can't possibly bring it back
Yeah. Yeah. No,
unless that one unless Gears of War ends up being absolutely insane.
the only legitimately, now that they're going back to first party, the only way I see their games being successful like they want is to drop day one Game Pass, and nobody's gonna like that. Everybody, if they ever attempt that, people are gonna riot. So I kind of think they back themselves up in a corner, and I don't see a future where a game sells what they want it to or need it to with Game Pass also having day one, games on there.
Yeah, as part of what you're saying just now, where first party games are not being canceled. Microsoft is going full in on first party games. Arcane's being divested, so they're holding on to Arcane. It's just not going to be really seeing a lot from them for a little while. Blade is indefinitely on hiatus now as a result.
Yeah, Blade is.
There was a Blade game because, boy, we're not going to see that.
I mean, Blade was, everybody was saying we're supposed to be saying, 2027. I believe it. It hasn't been that long compared to some of these other games, but at the same time, Blade is rumored to be way over budget. And so yeah, it unfortunately, it does make sense if they start pulling from them. As much as that sucks to say. So going back to the layoffs real fast, we talked about the studios that were being cut off, but so those studios only make up like about 800 people if those are part of those layoffs. So the first round of 1,600, along with those 800, we have another 800 and then another 1,600 coming up. So their studios are taking heavy hits. Bethesda is now rumored to have less employees than just the team on like Witcher 4, like all of Bethesda. And
Bethesda is also being relegated to only working on their larger IPs. So we're only going to see the Elder Scrolls and Fallout coming from Bethesda now. We're not going to be seeing new interesting stuff.
I don't think that's a bad idea. Unfortunately, I hate
Starfield was a bit of a flop.
I hate putting like studios. I do want to see them have freedom to do whatever. But again, games are getting more expensive. These games are known to sell. Elder Scrolls, Fallout. People keep asking for them when they're not getting any. People are going back playing the old ones. Fallout is a successful TV show. They need to be focusing on these series. I hate putting game studios in boxes, but they need to be on these two series, and they should have been. They were kind of given a little bit of freedom to run around for quite a while, and I don't think it paid off. They should have. Elder Scrolls 6 should have been where Starfield was, basically.
And Starfield, I mean, how much of that is on Microsoft for not letting it cook, not letting it stay in the oven long enough? But at the same time, like you said, game development's taking longer.
Starfield was in development for a long time.
Yeah, and we also said that Bethesda's working only on their larger IPs, but now Obsidian may be making a new Fallout.
Yeah.
So
that they should have been on that too.
Obsidian on Fallout. That was
as soon as they bought Obsidian, New Vegas 2 should have been in production immediately, like day one. Whatever you're working on, you're putting the team on, New Vegas 2, or whatever. It doesn't have to be New Vegas, but something they should have been on Fallout.
But Avowed.
Yeah, Avowed. Apparently Avowed 2. Some are saying it's canceled. Some are saying it's not canceled. I don't know.
I think it should be canceled. As someone who, I 100%ed Avowed, so you don't have to. I think let's end it there.
Obsidian, I love their games. They are trying new things. They are trying new series, and they're just not catching on. So yeah, I would absolutely put them in the Fallout box. Sorry. They should be the Fallout studio. Elder Scrolls 6 on the other end is supposedly, still 2-3 years away, which we're probably obviously not seeing that until the next Xbox. Which I don't even know when it was announced now. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. And when's the last time you saw Todd Howard at a game show?
Good. Yeah, I mean, sorry, Todd Howard, you should not be on stage.
Yeah, I mean, like, you only see him for huge things. So the last time you saw him was there was the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement, and then there was the Starfield announcement, and then after that, he's been kind of radio silent since then. So you can only hope he's deep in the lab cooking up something good, and it's going to be a redemption shot.
Todd Howard is one of those people who somehow got away with it, but he was just like Peter Monalou, like in every single way. He lied so much about every single game he made, and people just kind of let him get away, and they all attacked Peter, and it was kind of like, you guys literally do the same exact thing. Like the Suicide Squad scene where he's like, "I'm you but better." That's literally Todd Howard. That's what it was. Yeah, literally same exact stuff. I would get so frustrated when not frustrated really, but like I knew when he was on stage talking that half of what he was saying was bullshit. I just saw him at so many conferences, so much talking, and then those games would come out, whatever he was talking about, and it wouldn't be the case. Like nothing he said was in the game, or it was like some super watered down version. So I'm okay with not hearing him speak at every conference.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I want to see him put his money where his mouth is at this point, because it's been bad. He did actually have a recent interview where they were talking about Starfield, and he was talking about regretting doing press for Starfield.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you that he's aware and he knows that he's under a microscope now.
Yeah.
So he's gotta really step it up.
I don't think
But,
he. Oh, sorry. I don't think
no,
he's.
I was gonna jump.
I don't think he's like he has a bad intentions with anything. But like even like Fallout 4, like the announcement was out within like 4 months of the announcement, and he still lied at that conference. Like you already know at that point the game's coming out in 4 months. You already know exactly what is in that game and what isn't, and you still came on stage and lied about what was in that game. So I don't know. Keep him away. Sorry for all the Todd Howard fans out there. That's what
I'm not. I've never been a big fan of Todd Howard. I mean, just I feel like Todd Howard is converted from like actual industry veteran to just a marketing toy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's very unfortunate when you see something like that happen. I mean, it's like the inverse of Satoru Iwata, of just he stepped up and then just fell over.
Yep.
But speaking of more layoffs, id Software, they just put out a huge new DLC for Doom: The Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately after, they have, I believe it's less than 50 people now that are left over there. And right after the DLC drop, people that had been spending months of unpaid overtime working on that project just to be dropped right after the game comes out is really sad to see. And now you also have John Carmack and John Romero, or whoever names are, whatever, the original id guys chiming in and saying, talking about it now as well. And the studio seems to be relegated to the size of a support studio rather than a first party studio. And we're talking about the people that made Doom, the new versions of Doom that are extremely beloved. And like the new DLC is doing really good numbers, but we're still seeing them in this state, and that is extremely, extremely unfortunate to see.
Definitely. It's it's unfortunate that they're laying off so many people, especially when they have their own engine that so many people are jumping on. Apparently, they're not going to Unreal Engine, which is good. They shouldn't. But I know that was concerns when they did announce the layoffs because so few people know how to use their engine and they're letting people go. So I don't know. Like, what do you do if you need more people? Do you have to bring those people back that know how to run it? Do you have like people specifically teaching you how to use the engine? Supposedly, it's like notoriously hard to actually use. I think it's a mistake. Absolutely. I don't know. If you have these people that are like specialty, they know exactly what they're doing, and you're letting them go, it just feels like a big problem that's going to come down.
It's really hard to justify and understand,
right?
Like why you're doing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's so literally like everyone's comparing their size now to that of a support studio. Is id no longer going to be making Doom now? Are they just going to be supporting other Microsoft projects? Are we going to see, Halo Studios having id Software piggyback on support? Is this the future?
I hope not.
Is the coalition going to be co-supported by id Software on Gears of War E-Day?
There's very few games that Microsoft's Xbox should focus on. And they're like Doom, Wolfenstein, Halo, Gears of War, Fable, Fallout, Elder Scrolls. Anything else, shouldn't be a priority necessarily.
And they definitely need that new gangbuster. We talked about it a little bit last week as well, where they spent $70 billion on Activision Blizzard. And this is we're definitely seeing the fallout from this. And all this news did come from, straight from Asha Sharma, the current head of Xbox. But how much of this is truly her doing? Is this her steering the ship after Phil Spencer's exit? Is Phil Spencer's exit even a proper exit, or is that him getting forced out because of all of where we are now? So how much of this was Phil Spencer's fault, and how much of this is Asha Sharma's fault? How much goodwill does she retain?
I 100% believe that Phil Spencer was forced out. it was just like it was so sudden. Like, usually they plan months and months ahead. Like it really didn't feel like they did. Along with that, I think Asha is going to get a lot of hate for this. I do think it is above her that are making these decisions, and I do think that this was the plan even before Phil left. I believe they kind of used him as a scapegoat to toss him out and basically be like, "This was all on you." But I fully believe that it was above him that made all these decisions. They cut him, and now they're shifting and pivoting in a different direction, and they're just going to, throw it at her feet, and she's going to pick it up. Not that, I'm not saying she can't make decisions or whatever, but, this comes above, always above. Like Phil, it was above that we're making these decisions. They're kind of like a voice.
See that she's going to be stepping on as a consultant or something like that for the Federal Reserve or
Yeah, I saw
something
that too.
like that
Yeah.
about job retention or something like
Something
that.
like that,
I didn't
yeah.
read the full thing for that, but that's just very awkward time as you're at the helm of a massive layoff, a fifth round of layoffs in the last several years for Xbox.
Yep.
Fifth round of layoffs.
Yep. Yeah.
And now you're also being put into this role as a consultant for another major branch outside of Xbox. So it's like, it's not a great look if we're supposed to believe you have less responsibility of this.
Yeah.
Because now you're being kind of touted as an expert in this.
Yeah, no, I don't think she was a bad choice. I think she's doing, I think she's doing what she can with what she was given, like what was put in her hands. She is working with it. And I think she is going to get a lot of hate for different ways. People are kind of expecting Xbox to be a specific way right now, and she's pivoting. She's, she is making cuts or whatever she has to do to kind of save the brand. I don't think that's bad. I think she's doing good, but
the little bits
it's
of
hard.
goodwill, like the little bits of goodwill where we're seeing the companies retaining their IPs instead of Microsoft and Xbox retaining the ownership of those IPs. I think that's tremendous, giving them back their rights.
I think that was marketing completely. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's still.
I think
it's still a more positive and negative thing.
No, absolutely. I just, like I said, the 4 studios that were laid off, that's only like 800 employees out of like the 3,200 they announced. So it's kind of like,
well, there is a rumored 5th
that's
studio,
cool.
And we can see who knows how many more things can happen.
Yeah.
Especially like id coming out, and now we're seeing some bad stuff happening with Bethesda and their union, because they have some kind of union going on. Did you see the news about that?
Yeah, they're trying to. Yeah. They're trying.
They had like a memorial set up in a public space, and HR shut that down immediately. That's.
I know that.
That's not a great look.
Rockstar Games is also trying to unionize before GTA 6 releases. They're trying to get a union going, which they're kind of running out of time here. But good for them. I hope they do pull it off. It's not looking likely. So they're probably going to get hit pretty hard there too. But I hope they can manage something there.
Can I tangent a question towards Kirby real quick? Kirby, in your professional life, without getting specific, how many layers of management have you ever had to answer to?
Presently, I answer to like 2 or 3 layers of management. Well,
yeah, I think 2 or 3 is pretty common in a professional space. Like I report to a director and a VP and sometimes a CEO.
I have like my boss, and then I have branch manager, assistant branch manager, executive. Like,
now,
that's about it.
Well, Kirby, what if I said, hey, in order to get anything done, you need to go through 14 layers of management?
Oh my god, I would quit.
Yeah.
Because that's what was happening over at Xbox Game Studios. 14 layers of bureaucracy and red tape. Which
That's
that
insane.
Slows down decision making and increases costs and overhead and makes stuff a lot harder to get done. Because Betrigan even said earlier, like we keep reiterating, game development takes a long time. And how much of that is because of cutting red tape?
I think that their layers of management absolutely showed. We talked about their, obviously their marketing, but just how long it was taking for these games to come out. They were very much on average 7 to 10 years per game, per studio, which is ridiculous. And I think the 14 layers of management is absolutely obvious there. Like, you can look at it and be like, yeah, that's not hard to believe. I fully buy it. Unfortunately.
They did announce, Asha did mention, they're going to be cut down to a maximum of 5 in some places with an average of, looking at an average of 3. And I think that's great because we're seeing, usually when we see these layoffs and impacts, we're seeing it at like, the developer level, like the end worker level. rather than at someone at like a more higher up position. But now we're seeing they're going to be shaking up these management positions, and it's looking more like potentially nobody's safe. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because again, you never hear about like the executives or the directors or VPs or any of that getting the
Yeah, it's
shaft
always the
along with.
little guy.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I think that has a little bit of a silver lining in it, where it's not just people who are struggling to like, make a living, because it is being handed to higher level.
I agree. So, going backwards a minute, we talked about id Software and them getting layoffs. Did you hear what they were pitching before they got laid off? What game they were pitching?
No.
Completely cursed IP. id Software, before they got hit with the layoffs, were pitching a new game in a series to Xbox. And it's not a game that we didn't see too long ago. That game that they were pitching was Perfect Dark.
Okay, I did hear about this.
Yeah.
What is this?
So Perfect Dark was a Nintendo 64 game by, I think, Rare, right? Was it
by
Rare?
Rareware.
Mm-hmm.
I love Rare. I don't know
And
about
then
this. Wow.
they made a sequel for the Xbox 360.
Perfect 360.
And then
If you
they,
have a Rareware collection, I believe
yeah,
both are on it.
yeah, they are. And I believe, well, a couple of years ago, they had several studios work on a new entry in Perfect Dark, and all these studios failed. The game was rebooted like several times during it, and then finally canceled. After footage finally came out, they canceled it. And now id Software was pitching it again. So clearly somebody really wants to make Perfect Dark, but it feels kind of cursed at the moment because the worst situations keep happening every time they try.
Yeah, unfortunately, support studio id Software will not be able to create the new prequel for Joanna Dark, which
Yeah.
what it's supposed to be a pre. That's so.
The one that
Oh
they
my
were
God.
working on?
That's like, yeah, it's supposed to be a prequel.
That's probably the way you do it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I don't know where you go after Perfect Dark, but probably a prequel is probably best. You introduce the character to new audience, and then you remake the original or something, and then you go from there.
Yeah, it was a bizarre thing to see, because I feel like for an IP that old and that arcadey, you can kind of bring it back as anything. I mean,
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Look what happened with Doom. Doom got
Mhm.
brought back as
In a fantastic
something
way.
completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in
We
the same realm of FPS as the original, but it's a lot different than what
well,
the original scope was. And you can say the same about Wolfenstein as well, how it's transformed.
before you move on from Doom, we had Doom 1 and 2, that was kind of what we're seeing now, where it's kind of fast paced, shoot, 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 whatever. But Doom 3 was a horror game. Very much about the atmosphere, very much horror, very much less actiony. And then it kind of disappeared for a while. And then we had a couple of like
It was a Doom 4.
there was a couple of things they worked on for Doom. And then we got Doom, what was it, 2016?
Doom 2016.
Yeah. Which
The reinvention of a franchise.
it was close to the original too, but so like they did completely break away with a new genre with 3, and then they went backwards. So yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of, it's they kind of did do something completely different with to reinvent it in a way. Still in the roots, but it was something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's the roots of that FPS. You're still hacking and slashing through everything, but
Mhm.
with just the modern spin of, we're gonna add this crazy soundtrack that accompanies you the entire time, and
Amazing
these
soundtrack.
much more intense mechanics. Yeah, but, justice for McGordon and all that. Granted, there's a lot you can say on both sides there, so maybe we don't jump into that one. But
Yeah.
it's such a shame. It's such a shame.
So we just spent the last 40 minutes talking about Xbox. I think we kind of covered everything there.
That is
But
everything for Xbox
yeah.
until tomorrow, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say until something this week. But I think we should, kind of move on. Obviously, most of this episode will be about Xbox, so I think we're gonna end with something a little more, maybe fun. So a question for all you guys, so people can kind of get to know us a little bit better. If you had the opportunity to have a game studio completely remake a game, Whatever game you want.
Donkey Kong 64.
There you go. Why? Why Donkey Kong 64?
That's just like, if I could be shrunken down into a little tiny version of myself and put into any game in the world, it would be Donkey Kong 64.
Oh, so you want to live in Donkey Kong 64?
Not even that. Just like, it was my favorite game whenever I was a kid. I was too young to know how to play it, but I still played it nonetheless. I loved watching my brother play it. I would make him play it all the time for me. There's a picture that exists of me literally asleep holding Donkey Kong 64 like cartridge.
Oh my
Like,
god.
I loved that game.
Yeah, but-
And I've been begging for it to be remastered, remade.
on the
Like,
Switch.
oh my god.
You can get it on the Switch.
Well, listen, I want it redone.
Okay.
I
All right.
think we
Yeah, that's
deserve
fair
it.
enough. Absolutely valid. I think there was a lot of cut content for that, right? Too, that was supposed to be on the Rumble Pack, and even that didn't make it. Am I wrong? Something like
I
that.
don't
They
know
get-
about that, but
It came with an expansion pack for the
Mhm.
RAM for the
That's what I meant.
N64
Yeah, yeah.
because that thing could not run that large
yeah,
game.
you had to
Still the
get the like
largest
red thing.
collectathon.
hmm
Largest collectathon still in existence, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. That can't be true anymore, right?
It
It's
might-
probably it's still pretty high up there, but there's no way that's true anymore.
I mean, someone might have made some weird indie thing that competes with it specifically to like, be, oh, we got one more than DK64. But for the longest time, DK64 was the largest collectathon in gaming.
Yeah, yeah. Cerventes, what about you? You have a game?
I know that technically it's quote unquote still being worked on, but I don't believe it's ever going to come out. So I would love to see a modern retake on KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay, okay.
Number one.
Yeah.
Because I do not believe that game is coming out for one that's been announced. But hey, at least we have FOTOR to look forward to.
Yeah.
The Fate of the
The
Old
end.
Republic. And Casey Hudson's at the helm, so it's gonna be good.
You can get the end of the
Hopefully.
series, not the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Knights of the Old Republic, fantastic game, still my number one of all time, and I'm seeing a modern take on it. Like if you give it, I don't know, even like a quarter of the Baldur's Gate 3 experience treatment, whatever
Oh,
we
I
want to
love
call
that
it.
game too.
It would be hands down just an absolute game of the year contender right off rip. But with all the development hell, it's the current announced one has been going through, and
Yeah, it's not looking good for it.
yeah, especially that. I mean, I'm pretty sure they got a new director for it already because that
Yeah.
old director was gonna personally make sure that thing was gonna be bad, and I was dreading that. But hey, well, maybe one day. But what about you, Betrigan? What do you want to see get remade from the ground up?
I'm trying to remember when it was. Oh, so yeah, Knights of the Old Republic remake was announced in 2021. At this point, anything like 5 years ago, I'm just gonna say it's coming. We're seeing games take like a decade. I don't know. I'm gonna believe in it for now until I know it's not looking likely, but I'm gonna believe in it.
Yeah, they have like 2 people working on it.
Yeah, there you go. It's gonna get done eventually.
It's not a great place.
For me though, I don't know. Probably I don't know. Just Gauntlet, Dark Legacy. Just remake it completely. Add
Oh my
content
god,
to it.
Gauntlet Legends.
Well,
It was just
Dark Legacy was Legends, just with more content. So just do that again.
Yeah.
Just remake it another time.
give
Just
us
add
give
more
us a modern
levels.
port. Just
Yeah.
give us a new
Yes.
give us a modern port.
I have so many
That's the
memories.
fair.
Answer.
I have so many memories of like that was like around the age where I would have friends come over. Like I played games before that, but like the PS2, GameCube, like Four Swords, Gauntlet, Dark Legacy. I'd have friends come over. We could all play it. It was wonderful. And what did the PlayStation have? Like the what was it? Tap?
Multi-tap.
Yeah, multi-tap. Yeah. So had that. Had 4 people running on Gauntlet. Had 4 people running on Four Swords. Anything like that. Just give me that. I know they redid. Dark Alliance is another one I'd like to. Oh, you know what? Nope, I changed my answer. The game that I need to have remade is Rogue Galaxy. Sorry, I don't know if you guys know what that is.
I
I'm
don't
not
know what that
familiar with
is.
one.
Rogue Galaxy. Let me make sure I'm getting the name right. I'm almost positive that's what it's called. I don't know why I would get that wrong. Rogue Galaxy. Yes. Okay, so Rogue Galaxy is it was I think it was a JRPG, but it kind of took place in space. You visited different planets, different things you could do. It was on a PS2, like very advanced for the time, I feel like, and it was just a fantastic story. Minor spoilers here for anybody that wants to play, but it did something in the game that I've never seen done before, and I don't think I've seen done since. But you know how like in JRPGs you have a party, right? And you have to level them up. So there is somebody in a point in the story who betrays your party, and you have to fight them. And based on how much you leveled them up, was how strong they were when you fought them. And I think that's fantastic. I think it was so cool at the time, seeing that. Once I played through it once, I was like, I'm never touching this guy until after the scene.
Yeah, I was about to say,
yeah.
so if you
But
if you really fail to level him up
yeah.
well, then you're kind of at an advantage.
Yeah, that's
But
what
if
I
you
did
play
on.
the game properly,
Yeah.
like quote unquote, then it'll be a hard fight.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
No, it was really cool at the time. I don't think I've seen a single game do it, like that. But just fantastic game. You just we're in space, amazing characters. Every character was great. The worlds were great. The levels were great. The monsters were great. The weapons were great. There was a bug catching system. There was a bounty system. There was so much to it for a PS2 game. And it was absolutely mind blowing. Kind of like Dark Cloud was another one that was a JRPG that I think was really unique for the time. There was a lot of good RPGs on the PlayStation 2, and maybe we talked about this already, but I don't think that a lot of JRPGs are the same now. I feel like when I play the new Dragon Quest or even Tales, as much as I love those series, it really feels like they're so watered down with some of the characters. And I just don't understand how a game multiple generations ago could have these relatable characters that were just fantastic. And I still go back to those games and I enjoy them, not even from a nostalgia point of view. I think they actually hold up. And I see a lot of JRPGs now, and it's kind of it feels almost stereotypical with a lot of the characters. My issue with the newest Dragon Quest and Tales game is that you spend the first 5-6 hours getting your party, and it's the most generic story ever, collecting your party, and then afterwards the game opens up and it's I don't understand why you couldn't why that time getting your party also couldn't be interesting. It really feels like one giant tutorial where there's it's boring. I'm sorry, but it is. And
it sucks.
Yeah, they need to do better. Better JRPGs, better stories, better characters, better worlds. You can do it. I know you can. You did it for generations. I don't know why you're stopping now.
Why do you think they keep remaking select Dragon Quests?
Yeah.
They've remade Persona 4 how many times now? And
yeah. Persona 6 is going to save us. Just watch. You watch. It's going to save us. I have faith. Persona 4 is going to save us. As a Persona fan, I'm excited to play Persona 4 for the first time.
Did SMT5 do well?
I think so. It was really good. It was really, really good.
Do you feel like they're leaning more into Persona than SMT? Even though Persona was supposed to be the spinoff, now Persona seems like it's overshadowing SMT?
I think it is overshadowing, but I don't necessarily... I still think the difference is there. SMT5 still had that vibe that just wouldn't fit in Persona. So I don't think that's necessarily true. SMT5 is really good, though.
Is way more mature.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they just remake the first SMT? Or the Raido Kuzunoa one?
Yeah, they did remake that recently. Or at least remastered it. They remastered 3 also.
They've remastered 3 multiple times, featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Yeah. No, I have faith in Persona 6. I do, and whatever Shin Megami has next, But I think Persona 6 is gonna be really good. I think 4 is gonna be a nice stop for those that haven't been able to play it. I love that game. I will be playing it multiple times for, I don't know, the third time, third interest.
Atlas does good work. They randomly just draw in the middle of SMT5 and new Persona projects. They dropped a brand new IP, and it was a Game of the Year contender immediately with Metaphor.
Yeah, so Metaphor was good.
Atlas does good work.
When they did Catherine, those were really good. Both of them, full body and regular Catherine. I bought the collector's edition of both. I keep buying the collector's edition for Atlas games. Catherine was something special that I don't think we've seen anything close to it. Crazy idea for a game.
I think Atlas and RGG are just good examples that Sega kind of lets their developers just breathe.
Yeah. Well,
so that's really cool.
Well,
RGG's getting into some trouble, but for the most part, Sega's in a pretty all right place. What are you going to drop on us? How are you going to crush my?
It is rumored that Sega is pushing Atlas to release annual games, very heavily rumored from people within Atlas. So
they sell well.
I was going to say
that's a whole different thing.
On the other end, Atlas says that they don't want to do their the golden or their kind of stuff anymore for their games or Royal, because people are expecting it now. They think it's going to sell less of the main, story. So Persona 6 should be a standalone. Do I believe they're going to hold to that? Not necessarily, but that is what they are saying, that it should be a complete package this time and no, upgraded version. Which, I mean, maybe that's for the best anyways, because if Sega is pushing them to release games more often, they need to move on from Persona 6. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
we have recent figures. What's the buy rate on P5 versus P5R?
That's a good question.
Were they similar in sales? Because I know I didn't buy P5R because
I did.
one 100 plus hour experience was already good enough for me. I liked it.
I
thought it was a good experience. I didn't want to do it again.
I didn't buy Persona 5R just once. I bought it 3 times, so I'm not a good person to ask.
You're not the right. So you made up for me. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think moving on.
How many times did you buy P5R?
I have actually never played a Persona game.
Yeah, we're working on that. But I don't know. I don't think moving on for Persona 6 is a good idea if that is Sega's plan, though, because Persona 4, 3, 4, 5, like, the reason why they're so popular is they had so many spin-offs. They had dancing games, they had tactical games. I don't think dropping the game and just moving on is probably best. Like, people have kind of already forgotten about Metaphor, like, if they had Metaphor dancing all night, maybe they wouldn't have.
Oh, you're absolutely right. They do it crazy with the expanded universes for Persona, like the fighting games, the dungeon crawlers, the animes, and it keeps people invested. And the fact that people aren't talking about Metaphor anymore when it was an absolute monumental masterpiece of a game, that's just a show of people's attention spans now.
I think you have to.
There's so
on to
much.
The next.
Yeah.
So much coming out every year, and it's how do you stay on there? And that's why you see so many companies shifting to live service, because at least with live service, you're still playing it. You're still going back. You're still talking about it.
Yeah. Shout out Persona 5X. Go play Persona 5X, guys. This is not an ad. We are not sponsored by them. Unless they want to sponsor this podcast, then, we'll accept it. But as of right now,
I would play Persona X for money.
For money? I would play it
only for money.
I would play it for several copies of Miku in the game so I can star them all the way. Yeah, if they can make that happen. But
no pressure.
No pressure. Make that happen. I think that's kind of it, though. Not really a lot to talk about this week. I mean, it's we're at the 55 minutes.
We spent all that time talking about Xbox. All right.
Well, I mean, that is a lot to talk about, and that was kind of the main thing. I just kind of wanted to talk about a few other things, so it wasn't like, hey, this is an Xbox. That'll be the title of the episode. Will be like Xbox, and ... some
featuring,
Atlas.
Featuring Dante from the
featuring Shin Megami Tensei 3.
Did you see that sticker? It's a big obnoxious sticker on VS.
Yeah.
SMT.
Oh, I know. It was memed a lot back in the day.
It's a big meme.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful meme.
Yeah, that was fun.
Right.
Good episode. I feel like this was structured better than. I feel like the last one was kind of all over the place, which I blame myself on because I was really under the weather. But I feel like this it ran smoothly. So,
do we want to outro this one?
Yeah, we do. Hi guys. This was GameYap, the podcast where we yap about games. Very easy to understand. I am Betrigan. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. Find me. Google my name. You will find me.
I've been Cerventes. You find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cerventes, at Twitter at King Cerventes, and I post other things when they're relevant.
And then for me, it's just Twitch and Twitter, TheKirbyParty. Hello. Well, goodbye.
Goodbye. See you guys. Well, I guess we'll see you next week with whatever happens as of starting tomorrow. Who knows what we're walking into in this era of games, but have a good night.
Say what day we're recording this?
We're recording on Sundays, so, we record Sundays, and sometime in the week the episode releases. We're looking to we're trying to get them out on Wednesday, but unfortunately my editor is on vacation during the summer, so he is out of the country, and it's kind of thrown things off a little bit, but we will get a better structure. It will happen. Don't worry. It's going to happen. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it.